the new year set to begin at midnight tonight, many of us will start to reassess our lives, including our careers. For a look at what you can do if your New Year's resolution might include taking the next step in your career, we're joined now by Mark Nelson. Mark Nelson is a principal at Conroy Ross Partners and author of CareerDigressions.com. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
What are you seeing in, you specialize in executive positions, your firm does.
Yes.
What kind of activity, what kind of trends are you seeing as we move into 2014?
Well, it's been a fairly steady market. I guess they say statisticians will tell you that if your head's in the oven and your legs are in the freezer, on average, you're fairly comfortable. So it's been fairly steady, but lots of ups and downs.
What kind of advice would you have for people who want to move on, to improve their career position? What's the market like right now?
I would say, first off, stepping back now is a great time to take stock. And I think that New Year's is one of those times where we actually step away from navigating the career path we're already on, step by step, and focusing on our day-to-day responsibilities. And what we should do more, I think, is actually take a proactive approach to managing our careers. Actually actively step back and say, am I on the path I want to be on? And am I doing enough to get where I want to be? And so first thing I would do is make sure you understand what it is you want, and then assess, am I on the path to getting there?
How do you get on that path? If you want to shift paths, so to speak, how do you do that?
Well, there's a number of ways. Obviously, there is the traditional job search, and if someone like me were to call, please do answer and we can have a conversation. But more than that, there's so many things you can do in today's world that's a little bit different than the past. For example, people can manage an online profile and be very proactive about saying, here's who I am, get their own message out. It wasn't that long ago, not to age myself, where no one would know who you are unless they work with you or unless your resume was stuck in a pile of paper. The other thing is everyone should always be, and you always hear this, but managing their network, having conversations. The more that you're speaking with people, telling them, here's what I want to do, here's where I excel, here's where I add value, the more people might think of you if the right opportunity comes along.
Mark, I run a investment counseling firm, so I get tons of resumes from people all the time. What I've noticed in the financial industry is the qualifications I'm getting from people is just through the roof. Like, I mean, in a lot of cases, I'm looking at these things, you're better qualified than I am kind of thing, and I'm here first. But, you know, are people chasing the wrong industry a little bit? Like, the financial industry expanded, and now it looks like into long-term shrinkage, and everybody is sort of coming out of school wanting to be an investment banker and all of that. So, you know, you're getting these, where you think people should be shifting now, maybe to different industries, whether it's technology, whether it's, you know, energy industry, infrastructure, where there's more growth ahead.
I mean, I'm hesitant to say go here because things change so quickly. I will say you raise a great point. I think that there are certain industries that are, well, sexier, frankly, and people tend to gravitate towards them. That's natural at the beginning. I would advise people more to focus on finding a learning curve initially that they're interested in. People focus on endpoints too much, especially early in their careers. And really, there are so many opportunities in the world, so many that we don't know are there. In fact, many that weren't even here 5 years ago. And if you focus on finding something you enjoy, putting some tools in your toolbox that you can use later, then you're going to end up a lot better off. So I would say just step away from thinking too simply about, oh, I want to be an investment banker, I want to be a lawyer, and more about what are my skills, what can I start at, what's a project I can really get my hands around.
You mentioned managing an online profile. What is your opinion of, I guess LinkedIn comes first to mind in that regard, but what kind of, what's your view of LinkedIn, first of all, as a useful career tool, and secondly, where else do you, should you be managing your online profile?
I mean, LinkedIn certainly right now is the dominant one. I think it's, I mean, from an individual perspective, I think it's wonderful in that you can actually really control your own message about who you are and what you'd like to do. And not just in terms of here's my title and here's the company I work for, which is traditionally the first thing recruiters think about, but more, you know, here's what I'm interested in, here's what I like to do, here's what I think about this. And you can actually engage in the community, have conversations, and establish yourself. Do
employers take LinkedIn seriously when they're looking for somebody? Do they use LinkedIn as a tool to go looking?
Yes, increasingly. I can tell you a few years ago, it was probably used more solely by recruiters and search firms. More and more now employers are using the tool, and LinkedIn is doing very well. The numbers reflect that.
And what about things like Twitter, Facebook, other online forums?
Yeah, those are, I would say things like Facebook and Twitter are more about engaging the candidate community from an employer perspective. I don't know that I personally have done a lot of work looking at people's Facebook profiles in order to recruit them, though I certainly read a lot of articles that that's going to change over the next few years, but I can't say that I do that.
What's the best tool to use online? Do you set up your own blog? Do you just set up a portfolio for people generally, like, you know, with your works there? Because I have 4 kids sort of all sort of going into the job market soon, and sort of structuring them into setting it up the right way. Which way do you see as best?
Certainly, in terms of online profiles, I think right now LinkedIn's a dominant one, and Google Plus, if people are using that, they should expand it there. And I do think Twitter is a great tool to use just to really just to get a sense of your personality out in the marketplace. People might look at that retroactively. But in terms of blogs, I can tell you that mine is a WordPress site, and there's lots of options out there. I don't know, I can comment one over the other.
Mark, thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Interesting chat with Mark Nelson, a principal at Conroy Ross Partners and author of CareerDigressions.com.